My 28 female, ex-husband, baby daddy, 33 male, recently got terminated from his job and is on the brink of getting evicted from his luxury apartment. For some backstory, we were married for 3 years. He had 2 affairs, and during the separation period, he was emotionally and verbally aggressive to the point I became extremely depressed. My anxiety was at an all-time high, and I now suffer from PTSD. He sold our house, made at least $28K USD, of which I saw $500 of that. At the time, I was going through a very hard time financially, and I was able to build myself up to the point where I am very financially secure and don't need anything. He blew through the money within months. He has nothing remaining from the profit of the house. He called me crying and asked me if he could live with me while he got back on his feet, since he can't afford his luxury apartment and has no one else he can stay with. Honestly, I don't feel bad for him, and I said, "No, you can't stay with me," to which he then pulled the "I'm your son's father, blah blah blah." I stood my ground. And now, according to him and his family, who live a 10-hour drive away, I'm an ungrateful witch and a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Ungrateful? Ungrateful? What on earth are you supposed to be grateful for? Do not, under literally any circumstances, let this guy live with you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I would say ungrateful for what? Being cheated on? Being left out of the equity for the house? For having recovered from the state he left me in? Be very clear. I don't owe him anything, and if that family chooses to continue to harass me, then I will react accordingly. Any of you who wish to take him in or support him, feel free to do so. Not the a-hole. It's fine to be ungrateful for being cheated on, repeatedly, picked on, and ripped off of the proceeds from your house sale. Perfectly normal, I'd say. How much help do you think he'd give you if you were in his shoes? This is not my story. This is my friend's story that I'm posting for him. Also, for convenience, I'm going to write this in first-person point of view because pronouns are hard to keep up with. Everything here is approved by my friend. So I, 21 male, have an ex, Angelica, 20 female. Angelica and I had an on-off relationship since we were about 15, but got serious when virus hit, and I had to move back to my hometown. We got an apartment together, and very soon after, she started spending a lot of time with her cousin. Long story short, she's boning her cousin. We break up. We've been broken up 9 months at this point. For 7 of those months, her phone had been on my phone bill, and she owes me over $500. Fine, whatever. I'll never see that $500, and she always makes excuses to pay me back. That's life. My own fault for letting her keep using me as a cash cow. She also took my car when we broke up, and I let her because I was too afraid she would try to take my apartment too. Anyway, it's 9 months past our breakup. I get a message. Hey, I'm pregnant. I'm on my way home from work, so I don't respond. That is 9 months past being my problem. It is not my baby. She messages me again. My boyfriend, the one she cheated on me with, and I have nowhere to stay. Still 9 months past my problem. Angelica has never worked a day in her life. She lives off the disability check from her boyfriend and spends it 99% on pee and fast food. She never paid rent and is documented to never pay rent. Anyway, she tells me, my name is still on the lease. We're going to move in September. I tell her, your name is not on the lease. It was renewed last month, and I took your name off. I'm sorry. She messages me calling me an a-hole and saying she's moving in because she has nowhere for her baby and 3 dogs to stay. Mind you, my apartment is more like a studio and barely fits me, let alone 2 other people and 3 dogs. I tell her it's not happening. I'm moving out of town soon anyway. Also, come pick up her crap that she's left at my apartment for 9 months. She says no, and if I throw it away, she's going to press charges. I tell her it doesn't matter because when I move, I'm throwing it away. She later called my landlord and told him I was planning to move out. I got upset at this and told her I ran the numbers on the car. It's still in my name. Get the car out of my name now, or I'm repossessing it, or she can leave me the duck alone. She started bawling on the call, asking how I could do this to her and her unborn child, and I was condemning her and her child to be homeless. She also still has a firearm in my name that I told her to give back, or I'm calling the cops. I'm really considering repossessing the car since it was mine from the start and is still in my name. She doesn't deserve to get a free car handed to her. She needs to wake up. She keeps saying she needs a place to stay. I'm ruining her and her baby's life. It's literally my apartment that she has never once paid rent on. I don't know how she thinks she's entitled to just live in my apartment with the guy she cheated on me with and 3 dogs. I hope the baby ends up okay. It's not its fault its mother is a spoiled brat. But I also hope being homeless and careless wakes her the duck up. Dude, your friend needs to file several police reports, like yesterday. First and foremost, for the firearm that she has in her possession that's registered in his name. If he hasn't reported it stolen and she uses it in any kind of crime, it's going to get charges on him for not keeping track of it, at the very least. And the car. Who has the title? Did he sign it over to her? If not, that needs to be reported stolen as well. You need to ditch the friend. He's going to drag you down with him. Your friend is an idiot for not staying on top of his crap. Now his name is registered on things owned by someone who hates him and could very easily cause him a lot of legal problems. Me and my wife have been married for 3 years. For info, last weekend it was my mother's birthday. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. 2 of my brothers are married. We went to our mother's birthday party and she gave me and my 2 married bros permission to bring our wives. My wife got her license 6 months ago, and recently she bought a used 2016 manual Mustang GT. I thought she was crazy because I didn't think she could handle these cars, but whatever. It's her money, so she can do whatever she wants. Last weekend, this is when the BS happened. It was my mother's birthday, but I was there before my wife, and I was in my own car, which is a BMW M4. My wife was at her own mother's house, and she showed up later. My sister just got a brand new expensive car. It was the new 2021 Mercedes E53. My wife showed up in her pony car, and she tried to park behind my sister's new Mercedes, but she kept doing a terrible job. I was expecting her to give up and park somewhere else, but she kept trying, and it all went wrong. She hit the side of my sister's car. My sister was shocked and got up, and then she yelled at my wife. She told my wife that she is a mentally slow driver, and she shouldn't be driving if she's going to damage other people's properties with her crappy cheap Mustang of yours, and she told my wife that she will have to pay for the damage. My wife kept apologizing, but my sister wasn't having any of it and said, "You can take your apology and shove it up your butt, or keep it in the back of your crappy Ford's trunk." While it was happening, I didn't step in, I just watched. But one of my brothers eventually stepped in to calm them down. Later on, when we went home, my wife surprised me when she confronted me saying that she is angry that I did not stand up for her against my raging sister. She said she understands that she made a stupid driving mistake, but she didn't deserve to be talked to like that. We are in an argument, and I told her that she should have been more careful and smart enough to give up and park somewhere else. And my sister is right for yelling at her, because I would be pissed off too if someone hits my car, especially if I just got it not too long ago. I told her that she created this problem, and she has to take responsibility. And I'm not going to take responsibility for her. Although she's sorry about what she did, she is still mad at me for not standing up for her. Am I an a-hole for not standing up for my wife when she is the one who ducked up by breaking my sister's car? Am I wrong for letting my wife suffer the consequences of her mistake? I feel like she needed a rude awakening, because you can't damage someone's new car and expect to not get in trouble. Yes, the a-hole. Your wife was not asking you to defend her driving or her actions. She is clearly aware that what she did was wrong. What she was asking is for you to step in and stop a relative who has crossed the line. Your sister was pissed. Nothing wrong with that. But the expression of her anger was over the top and too much. Yes, part of your job as a spouse is to protect your spouse from your family. Again, to be clear, your wife was not being unreasonable, in spite of the damage she caused. Yes, the a-hole. Your wife made a mistake, and your sister has every right to be upset. However, verbally insulting your wife, publicly, in front of your entire family as well, was completely unnecessary. Your wife was willing to fix it, and yet you decided to sit there and watch your sister humiliate her. Yes, the a-hole. Car snob. Who cares what everyone's vehicles were? Your sister is too. Unhelpful. You saw your wife trying to park and didn't think of trying to go guide her in. Take some sort of joy in watching drama. Let the fight go on. Did nothing to de-escalate. Didn't have your wife's back. Still do not. Would you have stepped in if a stranger was talking to your wife that way? Your family are additional a-holes. She gave me and my 2 married bros permission to bring our wives. What the heck? Bringing them to a family gathering needs permission? Your sister is the biggest a-hole. She told my wife that she is a mentally slow driver. Get over yourselves in your fancy cars. This is what insurance is for. My mom and dad always had a bad marriage. They fought a lot. But I love them both despite their flaws. My dad died of an OD when I was 13, and I'm 16 now. Several weeks ago, I was messing around in the basement looking through all the ancient books someone left down there. Some are as old as the 1800s, which is pretty cool. In one old book, I found some letters from some guy, Stephen, to my mom. I found out they'd had an affair, and I was Stephen's daughter. My mom wanted to keep that secret from my dad, and Stephen also wanted to keep that secret because of his family. The letter stopped soon after my birth. I only saw Stephen's side of the conversation, but it said enough. I wanted to find this guy. I was honestly in shock and just wanted to know more. In some of the older letters, before the one about me, He talked about the college he went to, the frat he was in, his job, and with all that, I looked him up and was almost positive I found him on Facebook. To be honest, my first reaction was anger. He was really wealthy, like his kids have ponies and college wealthy. He has 3 kids, a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 21-year-old. And I just couldn't understand how someone could father a child, know about it, and not give any support, even though my family is on food stamps. I know he's never given my family a cent. I've helped my mom balance our family's budget for years because she's not good at it. I know every dollar that comes in and out of this house. I wanted to be sure though, so I messaged the 21-year-old son, and I said I thought I might be his half-sister and asked if we could talk. He said yes, and I cross-checked a few things to be sure. I asked him if he'd tell Steven, and he said no. I don't know what's going on there, but there seemed to be some bad blood. Then, I dwelled on stuff for a few days. I had a lot to say to Steven, but I was also scared. Then, finally, I reached out on Facebook and sent him a message saying I know he's my biological father. I know he knows who I am, and he's crappy and a coward for keeping up his white picket fence life, buying some of his daughter's ponies, while his other daughter he knew about was trying to budget for the bare necessities. I stressed about it for days, and then got a message back saying that my mother had decided to go it alone and to not harass him again. I was shocked and disgusted that he'd lied to my face when I knew that it was just as much his decision as hers, from the letters. And in that moment, I was so pissed that I took a screenshot of the conversation and sent it to his wife and his other 2 kids, both on Facebook and their other social media that I could find, just to be sure it got seen. And then I uninstalled Facebook and Instagram and closed out of the rest. I'm freaking out and I don't want to see if anyone replied. Am I the a-hole for what I did? What now? Edit. From what I read in the letters, throughout pregnancy and after I was born, they kept writing each other, affectionately. I've only got Steven's letters, but I can tell from them she wanted to keep in touch and keep meeting secretly, and show him me as a baby, and he pushed her away saying that it was all too risky, that they needed to stop this, that he would not see me, etc. Yes, the a-hole. You didn't even bother to ask your mom why he was never involved, or why she never asked for any help from him. You just went straight to anger and are attempting to ruin all his relationships because of half a conversation you read in some old letters. You don't know anything that was said in the other half of the conversation, or if that was even the full conversation, and it is most likely they talked in person about it as well. Yes, the a-hole. I would say that you're not, that you are just hurt, but your whole post isn't even about him not being there for you. It's about how rich he is. I honestly doubt that if he was poor, middle class, you would have even attempted to contact him. You don't know for certain that he is your father, because you haven't gotten a DNA test. Also, where's your mother? She is just as to blame as he is. They both decided they wanted to keep their separate families. She doesn't get a free pass here. Also, how dare you send something like this to his innocent kids? They have nothing to do with this. Maybe if you were polite and actually wanted to get to know him, he might have responded better. But as far as he knew, you had a loving mother and father looking after you, and all you seem to care about is money. Not the a-hole. Other commenters are saying you should have got your mom's side of the story. Consider that it was a mutual arrangement. But if you really were living in poverty while your bio father was more than capable of getting you out of it, then both he and your mom are the a-hole, 100%. That is their job as parents. Sorry guys, no update.